yes, yes. Yes, that is so cool. That is so cool. What's really cool is when we realize that when that becomes so real to us, more real than the idea of that we are separate. The idea that I am over here and you are over there and we are separate. But when we realize that we are how God shows up in the world, that God is closer to us than our breathing, nearer to us than our hands and our feet, but also that God is who you are and who everything that we see in the world is the revelation or the revealing of God itself. That is the bliss and the nirvana that the saints and sages talk about, the peace that passes understanding. Because when we're resting in that idea, that knowing of seeing God everywhere, revealed in everything, and I do mean everything, we'll come to that in a minute. But when we see that, then our peace is never disturbed. Our joy is never ripped away from us by circumstances or events. It's like we're standing on holy ground. And we are, in fact, standing on holy ground. And we are that holiness, that wholeness revealed. It is revealed all around us. And that is the miracle. Really, people say, oh, it's a miracle that I know this or I experience this, but it's really the normalness. It's the naturalness of life, really. And we share in that every week. It's such a joy to share in that with each of you. So I'll start with this week's talk title is Say Yes to the Divine Yes. And we'll explain that a little bit. Real creativity. This is an interesting thought. Real creativity is the act of expression, not product or performance. And I'll say that again. Real creativity is the act of expression, not results. Right? Would you agree with that? We're going to explore it. In Anita Moorjani's book, Dying to Be Me, she writes that at the end of her fantastic journey, that her great discovery after years of cancer and then nearly dying and then actually dying, her great discovery was that we, each of us, are meant to be an authentic expression of the divine. That is our only mission in this life, is to be authentically ourselves. Isn't that interesting? It's not like we are meant to be the best at fill in the blank or the most blah, 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 the richest, the most famous, the best at our craft, the most creative painter, the best teacher, the best parent. It's never any of those things. It's never the product or the result. It's the act of expression and being our authentic expression. Because spirit will never show up ever again like us, like this, in this moment, like you or me. We are so unique. That is amazing to me. So the question kind of becomes, what are we saying yes to in our lives? What are we saying yes to in our creative expression? Are we saying yes to being our authentic divine self? Or are we saying yes to what we think we should do? what society demands that we do at our age or in our career or in our situation, or that our families demand that we do, our parents, our children, are demanding of us, our partners. Spirit, life itself is always saying yes. It is open and expansive. It can never say no when we think about it. Life revealing itself never says no to itself. It is always saying yes, always accepting. It is always creating, it is always flowing. And that is our true nature. But we know that we can often identify as this separate, finite being, temporal, stuck in this moment, in this time, in this space, in this body, with this past, with this predicted future. And when we identify that, we sometimes harbor the belief that we are that we are this separate being. And we forget our true nature of oneness, wholeness, of creativity and love and joy. And that belief that we are separate beings is the resistance to life itself. It's the resistance to our authenticity. When we believe that we're separate beings, that we are not one in and of God itself, then we might think thoughts from our past or limited conditioning, our training, right? That would suggest, we need more money to be happy or to be secure or to do something that would make me happy. That we may need something to create a lifestyle or a retirement or security. We might think thoughts that we might have to have a partner to be happy, or this particular partner, or this thing, this job security to be happy, to be fulfilled. These thoughts come up, and when we say yes to those thoughts, we are saying yes to that false belief in separation, that we're not actually in touch with our good or our God, that our good is somewhere else, in something else, in those situations and events and circumstances that are all out there. When we say yes to that, we kind of perpetuate this idea of suffering for ourselves and others, that resistance that I don't have what I need now, or that I want something out there. So when thoughts or desires come up, it's actually kind of easy or simple to really discern if these thoughts are from our separate, finite sense of self, or are they from our sense of oneness and wholeness, which is our true nature, back of everything. We can just, ask ourselves. It sounds very simple because it is. Ask ourselves in a quiet moment, on whose behalf are these thoughts arising? In other words, if the thought arises that I cannot be happy until I pay off this debt or this mortgage, or until I take that trip to Italy that I've never been able to take, and I've just been waiting for that my whole life. Or I can't be happy until I pay off that mortgage and I have some more money. We put these thoughts that are continual, maybe, or repetitive. Just stop and ask ourselves, on whose behalf is this thought arising? On whose behalf? The finite self, the separate self, or the infinite spirit that I am. And in that instance, we could probably all agree that that thought comes from limited ideas that my God and I are separated, that my good, my joy, my happiness, my peace cannot come now, but it will come when these things are satisfied. And if a thought comes to me that I would like to start painting, or I would like to teach painting at the community college in order to make a second income, I can ask myself, on whose behalf does this thought come? And I can sense and feel that it is my nature to be creative and my desire to share in this creativity and my need for a second income. And it all flows together. And I can say, yes, this is my creative nature. This is spirit working through me, through the gifts that I have to be able to teach at this community college and to teach what I love. We could say, these thoughts are arising on behalf of my infinite creative self. Ernest Holmes said, your life is your palette, and your dreams and desires are the medium. We're in the laboratory of the divine. What then shall we create? Because we're always creating. And the question is, what are we creating? From where are we creating? From our limited past conditioning? From what people out there are telling us, from their limited past conditioning? From our sense of separation or lack or limitation? Or are we creating and becoming inspired from our sense of connectivity, oneness, and wholeness, from being connected to infinite creativity? And what do we want to continue to create? And what is no longer serving us? We can just let that go as we stand in our unlimited creativity. Creativity is who we are. It is not what we do. It is who we are. We're creative beings. We're pure creativity. And that which caused us to become and be right here, right now, in this time, in this place, in this body, cannot be denied. It's always calling for our attention and authentic expression. That's why we feel those urges, right? That divine urge to do something. But the doing isn't the creative part. It's being creative is who we are. It's the expression of it, is the doing. Making it real in the world, sharing it with our community, sharing it with our family, sharing it just with ourselves at times. And that's perfectly creative. Seen or unseen, spirit always creates through every breathtaking scenic vista, through every sunrise, every sunset, through every pair of eyes that we see throughout our day. The dogs, the animals, the cats, the birds, the people, as well as every challenge. When we listen and respond to those creative, intuitive nudges, we are the dance of creation itself. Cause and effect, creative expression, inspired perception, clear intention. That's who and what we all are. It is our very nature. We're not limited, but we do get to choose. Meaning we don't do everything all the time at the same moment. We choose. We listen to our divine inspired nudges. And to be really inspired, we remember what we say all the time. We know that God is all that there is. Therefore, all we are is God itself. We are infinite love, power, and presence, because we are all that God is. We believe that this spiritual law of cause and effect is provable, just as usable, universal, and accessible as the physical laws of gravity, aerodynamics, and electricity. That we use these creative urges to create easily and effortlessly in our lives, to make real or to realize love, peace, and joy in the activities of our life. Being individualized emanations of the infinite divine, we are connected to one another and we are unique in our expressions. As Rumi wrote, we are more than single drops, little finite drops in the ocean. We are the ocean. We are infinitely larger, expansive, eternal, more than we can imagine. We are the ocean of love and peace, joy, and creativity. Ernest Holmes says there's an irresistible, universal, and divine urge within us to be happy, to be whole, and to express the fullness of life. The latent divinity within us, although I would take out that word, the divinity. I edit Ernest sometimes. The divinity within us, it's always available. It stirs our imagination and proclaims itself through every creative endeavor. It has produced sages, saints, and saviors, and will, when permitted, create a new world in which war, poverty, sickness, and famine will have disappeared. And you can see by what we've discussed is that the sages, the saints, the artists, the leaders, the inventors, those are the ones that are saying yes to their divine nature, to the truth of their being, not being limited by society or what is expected of them or what is a limited thought within them. I'm not educated to do this. I'm not allowed to do this. I don't know how to do this. They are the ones saying yes to their divine nature, because spirit can do absolutely anything. In God, all things are possible. Saying yes to their divine nature, the truth of their being, to who and what they are, and honoring their divine nature, their authentic expression as a mother, as a business owner, as insert anything you want, a retiree. And war, poverty, sickness, and famine happen when we believe that we are separate and finite beings, that we must take and hold and hoard and manipulate and lie, cheat, and steal in order to be happy, in order to have something right now. And yet we can even see by what is going on in the world today. And I imagine if we examine our own lives, we can see where we have taken from others or thought that we were limited. Waiting for a time in the future for our good can never lead to our happiness or discovering our authentic self, our authentic expression. So we have to know that we're not just part of this power and presence that is greater than its creations, is here to be used by its creations. It's never used up, absorbed, or exhausted by these creations, but also that we are the face and the body of creation itself. If we live, move, and have our being in God, then God is living and moving and having its being as us, all of us. We are how God expresses in the world. Without you and me in our physical forms, God's ideas are unrealized, not made real. We are God made real. And we are, the way that creative ideas and interesting things happen. And we touch each other with those things, right? We have our friends and our families, and we bring joy and laughter and peace and healing to each other. We have and we are that immediate access to the divine. That's what we celebrate here every time we come together. These ideas, we use something applicable every week. How can we apply it? Maybe in a different way, maybe in a unique way, maybe something that touches our authentic self. We intentionally think and act knowing that this infinite invisible responds to us just as it did to Jesus, Buddha, Lao Tzu, the painter, the potter, the architect, the poet, the divine mother, the divine father. We are ultimately joy, peace, wholeness. And our greatest gift is our yes to imagining and creating and living our authentic life, saying yes to our divine self, which sometimes meaning saying no to that which has been, maybe given to us by some limited thoughts or other people's limited ideas, maybe from our family, maybe from our teachers, maybe from our coaches, from our youth, from our past experiences that did not work out. We have this nagging thing that says, I don't want to do that again. I don't want to try that again. I don't want to feel like that again. Sometimes we have to say no to that. No to the limiting thoughts, no to the past conditioning in order to say yes to something completely different. Because we remember that both our conscious and unconscious beliefs help to create the way we're living our life. When we reveal within ourselves and heal within ourselves and intentionally change some of those fixed beliefs from limited to open, and from negative to, I'm just going to say, open, so that our authentic expression can be revealed to us, unfiltered, right? Unfiltered by our past. Then we're saying yes to our ultimate good, not waiting on our good to show up through situations and circumstances and relationships. But we're saying yes to our good right now. It's within us. We're saying yes to our joy right now because it is right here. We're saying yes to peace because whatever is happening out there cannot take away this peace that I am. And I know that sometimes some of us grew up with these ideas that life is hard, you know, that life is meant to be a school of challenges. Life, it can be against us. It limits our ability to really rest in our unlimited nature. So we release those thoughts. We can work on releasing them, or we can just rest in joy and peace and love. And those thoughts cannot abide there. So the easiest way is to open our hearts in a moment of breathing, a moment of meditation, a moment of peace, and let it all go. Once we remember how to believe and think from that place of wholeness, worthiness, power, positivity, and wonder more consistently, then we live with more and more success by our own terms and joy. And we express ourselves authentically. So we're not living by anyone else's standards where they're saying, wow, you are successful, you are powerful, you are creative. It has nothing to do with what anyone might think about us, but we sense and feel ourselves as whole and complete. That is the ultimate success. The universe has only one answer: yes. The law of cause and effect is unbiased. It doesn't play favorites. And that saying, the sun shines on the just and the unjust. The sun shines on war and peace. The sun shines on the people we think are successful and not successful, who are what we call good or not good. The universe, the law, doesn't play favorites, and that which we give the law to work with is always working. It will demonstrate. So the more we take these opportunities like today, like right now, like the meditation that we're just about to do, the more we rest in the truth of our being, we give the law the truth to express and create in our lives. Neville Goddard wrote, our imagination is our connection to God. That's an interesting, that's just another way in through our imagination. So let's feed our imagination with love and joy and creativity, and really enjoy this process of bringing forth the experience, our unique and authentic experience from that place of wholeness and oneness. We say yes to the divine yes by trusting our desires. We say yes to this divine yes by communing with it through meditation or study, reading, classes, contemplation, yoga, breathing. We say yes to that divine yes by our intention to go beyond what has been limiting for us in the past, what we have thought or believed in or experienced in the past, because God, Spirit, the infinite, is never bound by past, by precedent. We are never bound by what has come before. We can affirm this week that I know myself as Spirit knows me, creative, unique, wonderful. And I say yes to my divine expression. Let's just take this moment to allow this to sink in a bit. I say yes to my divine expression. And if right where you are, it's possible to close your eyes and just be still in your mind for a moment. And resting in this peace, we are reminded of the truth of our being. Eric Butterworth said that demonstration is not working magic. It is not working miracles. It is not this something out of nothing process. It's releasing your imprisoned splendor. That which you desire is already within you. This is who I am. Infinite openness. Unconditional love. Unbounded creativity. Unlimited. When we desire something we think will make us happy, we remember, I am joy. I am happiness now. When we desire something, situation that will bring us peace, we remember, we feel and sense, I am peace right now. When we want to release ourselves from lack and limitation, we turn within and we know ourselves as abundance. And creativity right now. I am what I desire. I am now everything that I could ever desire. I say yes to my already divine nature. I say yes to the perfect and unique expression of my nature. I release everything that has bound me in lack and limitation, because I am free right here, right now, and always. And so it is.